My name is Victoria Tiberni, and I'm presenting this project for technical communication at VTC. And I'm presenting as I were an RN at UVM-MC, UVM Medical Center. And I'm proposing this project to the administration for approval. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how nurse-to-patient ratio affect patients, affect nurses, and also affect the healthcare system as a whole. And I'm going to start with talking about what are the predominant problems in healthcare related to high patient-to-nurse ratios. And I'm going to talk a little bit about nurses burnout and turnover, adverse patient outcomes, and high costs. I'm going to also come with a few solutions of how we could potentially make this problem to not be so obvious and to solve it. And also I'm going to present a project budget, like how much money do I think that this project will need and how this money will be spread. And I'm just gonna start with nurses turnover and burnout. So in order for a nurse to be productive and make her job well and on high levels and standards, she needs to be a nurse should have enough time so she can think and do her job without making any mistakes, or she needs enough time to spend individual with each patient. But sometimes that it's impossible. When a nurse come to work and she have her assessment 8 patients, that makes it very difficult for that nurse to spread her time equal between those patients. So it's not bad for patients, but it's also very bad for nurses because workload can lead with a lot of problems like job dissatisfaction, where a nurse a lot of nurses goes to nursing school because they love what they do, but it can be very difficult when you deal with a lot of problem to love your job. So actually research shows that high patient-to-nurse ratio induce job-related burnout and dissatisfaction, and one patient additional to nurses assignment can be associated with 23% increases in odds of nurse burnout and 15% increase in the odds of job dissatisfaction. That's a very high percentage for just one additional patient. So can you imagine how that difficult can be? This is another research that shows this research was made based on 600 nurses who works on a very high demanding floors like orthopedics, surgery, ICU, and it shows that 62% of nurses are considering to leaving their jobs related to high demandings and high nurse to patient ratio and exhaustion. And only 38% considering, they do not consider to leave their jobs. 38%, that's very low percentage out of 100 for the nurses who just accept to work in those situation in that environment. So it's pretty rough. Adverse patient outcomes. Why are we here? Who are we nurses? Nurses are, our role is to make sure that patients are safe. Safety is the most important thing in a healthcare, because why we are here to send our patients home safe and make sure that they don't have any issues. But sometimes it's really hard for a nurse when she has too many patients to pick up on things like pressure ulcers or pneumonia or infections, and that's why high patient to nurse ratio have shown to have serious effects. As I mentioned, falls and injuries, increased mortality, hospital-acquired infection, pressure ulcers, failure to rescue, and others. The research shows that one additional patient in the average nurse's workload in a hospital, the odds of patient mortality increased by 7%. So again, that's very risky to have so many patients per one nurse, because our ultimate goal is to send that patient home safe and healthy, and not the other way around. And here is another data that shows that if a nurse spend more time with her patient, she have enough time to pick up on serious stuff like UTI, upper gastrointestinal bleeding, pneumonia, shock, cardiac arrest, and failure to rescue. Because more time spent with your patient, you get to know your patient better, you get to see, and you can overlook, or you can look in advance and see what would be the potential risks for this patient. And this is very important. But when you don't have that time, that might be that you just didn't pick up on time, and when you pick up, it's too late. High costs. You might think, how could possibly high nurse to patient ratio can affect cost of the hospitalization? Well, it's very simple, because medical insurance company, they don't pay if the patient got the complications or infection while in a hospital. And most of the time, when patient goes home and he's coming back within 30 days, the medical insurance will not gonna cover his or her costs. And who's gonna pay? Of course, hospital. That's why it's very important for a hospital to prevent this complication, so hospital don't have to pay out of the pocket for these complications. And yeah, only like pressure ulcers alone accounted for approximately 8.5 million per year. That's a huge number. Can you imagine how much money we can save only to decrease patient to nurse ratio? A lot. Solution. So I'm proposing this pilot project on a surgical floor where I'm proposing to reduce the patient to nurse ratio from 4 to 1, from 4 to 1 to 3 to 1 during days, and from 5 to 1 to 4 to 1 during nights. Because having more nurses, it's gonna save us money, we're gonna have better patients' outcomes, and nurses will be more happy. Oops. So, how I'm planning to implement this project. During the project, which is gonna be 12 months, we will track several metrics, including rates of hospital-acquired complication, falls, injuries, mortality, patient satisfaction, and more. And we will compare them to the baseline data to see if our purpose and our goal is achieved. And with the exception of patient satisfaction, the financial costs of these metrics will be compared year to year to see that how we actually were able to save money. Because it might be hard to believe, but when you look on the data, it definitely show a big difference. And as we said, goals are increased quality of care. We want improved patient outcomes, to improve patient satisfaction and improve nurses satisfaction as well. What we expect? Of course, we expect to preventing health-acquired complication, and as I said earlier, to send our patients home safe. We also expect to increase patient satisfaction. What is that important? Because that patient is going to want to come back next time, and that's increased the reputation of the hospital in community, and patient will not going to be afraid to come here because they will remember, oh, last time I got a very good care. So, and he will going to recommend this hospital to his relatives or friends. And the nurse retention, because a lot of money, it costs more money to hire new nurses and train than to actually keep the nurses that already are in a job and enjoying to do what they do. And here is the budget. So we are thinking that the whole project is going to be $830,000, and this is going to be, we're going to hire 6 nurses, 6 for day shift and 6 for night shift. And with all the differential, the day nurses we're going to spend $300,000, and on night nurses we are hoping to spend $360,000. And of course, there will be money for training, for educator. The project director, which is me in this case, is going to need to be paid as well. We will going to need a new scheduler, a part-time. And yes, as I said, we estimating to hit $830,000. And yes, conclusions on what do we want? Of course, we want positive outcomes for patients, because why we are here, for patients, of course. We want better care. As I said, we want this place to be attractive so people can feel safe in their community. And patient and nurses satisfaction, because if the nurses are happy, they do their job better, and of course patients has a better outcome. And of course we're gonna save money. Yeah, feel free if you have any questions. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a good day.